In this episode, we visited the Royal Albert Hall in London to explore lettering artefacts with Alicia and Hope from the Hall's archive team.
A huge welcome to the Life of Letters podcast.
Thank you for coming here.
It's so good to be on site. I think when you're talking about a building with such a large history, but also such a large space for all of these incredible kind of archives, physical, audible, it's lovely to be able to come and rifle through it in person.
The archive is such an exciting place to walk around, and just kind of everything that you pull out seems to be like magic. So we're really excited to share that with people.
Yeah, it's super exciting. But what we're really here to talk about is delving into the part of history which possibly isn't something that you normally get questions on, but we're thinking about letters and the life of letters. And given the Hall's history, there's a really long legacy of how letters have been used, whether it's individual letters, handwritten, penmanship, all of those things. So can you both sort of talk us through some of your favourite letter-related artefacts? What can we expect to find?
I don't know where to start. There's so many things. We have council minute books which contain like information about every detail of the hall, and they were handwritten up to a point, then they became digital. And actually, the older ones are very legible, like the handwriting, it's very clear, and it gets about the 1960s where, I don't know, it gets a bit more chaotic.
The ones from 1865 are really, really beautiful. This is kind of like gorgeous, loopy Victorian handwriting, which is, lovely, absolutely fabulous.
I know there's a second meeting that we have. It's got a list of all the people who attended. So it's like Prince, Dukes, Lords, Earls, and it goes all the way right down to like the Misters. So they're all in order.
So I think the most interesting thing from that point of view is we have a book that's used for noting down something, and it's the same one that we've been using since the conception of the hall, and it's still used. So you can see as you flick through it the evolution of handwriting, and it goes from this kind of Victorian handwriting until I can kind of recognise my parents' style of handwriting from having learnt it in the 1950s. And it's so fascinating to see that kind of evolution in sort of like slow motion as you flick through this.
There's a lot of pressure on our colleague writing now to keep it as neat as possible.
Yeah. And what was that? What was the book? Was it?
It's a seat holder sort of transfer register. So every single time a seat's been sold or transferred to someone else, like there is a note for that.
Yeah.
So it goes all the way back and still being used today. Not quite full yet, so I haven't had to move on to the second book.
Surprisingly, I'd say only like halfway full.
Yeah. So we've huge book.
We've got another like century of people buying and selling seats. We've got some postcards actually talking about handwriting people's penmanships, which I think are so gorgeous. So we collected them not because anyone who wrote them has anything to do with the hall necessarily, but they're postcards of the hall. I particularly like this one, which is sparkly. Yeah. And it's, I would guess that's what, 40s or 50s?
I'd say so, yeah. Ancient glitter.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's something that until I saw it like literally a few days ago, I hadn't clocked that people would be bedazzling postcards sort of in the mid 20th century. But there are just a couple of interesting things. This one is absolutely gorgeous. This Valentine's postcard. And it's someone called Hader, I think, thanking her friend Nora for having gone to the trouble and expense you went to on Saturday to be my bridesmaid. You looked ever so nice, and I'm sure no one could have wished for two prettier bridesmaids. And it's just absolutely lovely, and the handwriting is beautiful, I think.
So it's not that they would have got married here, like the context of sending a postcard of the hall. Is that just because it's an iconic thing?
Exactly.
They may have been staying here.
Yeah. So there's one from a lady in Airdrie in Scotland who says, I was in London and Tunbridge Wells last week. T Wells, very pretty place, and London is simply grand and interesting. And so she uses this postcard of the hall to kind of illustrate how grand and exciting London is.
And a nighttime one.
Yeah, like the moon sort of giving it's a very Halloween-y aesthetic.
I just find them like really fascinating to just learn like really weird tidbits about random people's stories. You'll never know, but
it's so
really
lovely.
And these are like a lot more detailed actually than like Queen Victoria's diary, because like when she came here for the opening ceremony, she said it was cold, got the coach, the violinist was okay, had luncheon, went home. And like these just give you so much more information about everyday life.
Yeah.
Quite interestingly, there's one that I pulled out because it's kind of illegible to us, and I think that's such an interesting part of our job as well, is trying to decipher people's handwriting a lot of the time. So as part of my master's degree, I did a course in paleography, and it was like everything you wanted it to be. It was in a wood panelled room with this the professor was like, it must have been at least 85, and was coming with his like teapot with cozy on it and his little stripy blue and white milk jug, and then we'd go through like 17th century handwriting, and it was great. But so it's quite, it depends what kind of archive you work in, but can be quite an integral part of the job. But this one we've just like
we've put out a couple of where they've nations, orchids, lilies of the valley.
Something about Regent Street yesterday.
Snow, there was snow that's quite thick.
So
wow, it's also written over the top of some other texts, isn't it? So that they've really made it difficult, given us a challenge. Wow. So postcards.
Yeah, and we also actively collect autographs from artists. We have a lot of these books. This is a random one, so I'm not sure who we have in here. Oh, we've got Coldplay. So this is from 2003, 2001. There you go. So it could be anything, and the artists, they can draw images. Some of them can be quite rude.
Yeah.
So if there's anything rude,
I think there are like two pretty cheeky ones in there actually.
We've got the Tweenies.
Yeah. Slightly harder to read.
I think the Tweenies one is so sweet as well, because their handwriting feels to really correspond to the characters. As a Tweenies connoisseur,
I love it. So there's some with photos in. Yeah, some serious
Go wild.
Yeah.
And who's maybe been back a few times and doesn't have as much to say. Yeah, this is incredible. Right, so you've kept this going again. This has been.
It started in the 90s, and the first book, I think it was very much grab whatever book we have. So it's this ring-bound, sort of velvety floral number. Then we're like,
let's make it look official. We've got guest books, postcards. Can you tell us a little bit about how letters have been factored into this building as well?
We have quite a collection of signs, actually. I love the ones. So as you come into the archive, actually, we have some of them hanging up, and I love the kind of this way to the auditorium, this way to the smoking area, and those sorts of things, and kind of rules and regulations that are up on the wall as well, which is so fun. And they're gorgeous. They're this sort of like yellow, have a yellowy tinge to them, and it's, I don't know if it's age, if it's years of cigarette smoke, if it's just, the colour that was chosen. There's kind of be something else.
Pointing to the smoking lounge, so that's probably the
absolutely.
Wafting out,
And have you seen that kind of the signage changing over the years as well, in terms of kind of the design and the fonts that you see used?
Yeah, so we picked out actually a kind of representative pile of handbills, and it's really fun to trace the kind of changes in designs and letters. Yeah, we've got quite a lot. From there, we can start off with this one from the Chelsea Arts Club annual ball. So there were these kind of debauched New Year's balls for this artist club. So loads of art students, and this one is just so fun and gorgeous. I think it's from, so that's the date on it, but it's 1920.
Yeah, 1920.
Even the art school programs, they were very sort of versatile. You could carry them around. We've got a paint palette where you could put your thumb through it, so you could like run around, and it wasn't like this huge big program where you need to know much. In the back, you had like rendezvous points, so you could write who you're going to meet. So you meet Frank at the fountain and have a dance with her.
Oh my god,
they're very sweet.
Yeah, they're sort of like program, come artwork, come dance card, come someone pointed out fan. Because they're quite solid. They're these sort of cards. We've got Dame Nellie Melba, who is a famous Australian singer.
That's been my favourite era for typography.
Yeah. Again, this 20s, this really like simplistic, bold typeface.
Yeah, it really says what it is. Yeah. Prices at the bottom. A couple of names.
This one is so 70s. You can look at it and be like, yeah, that's 70s. But also it's, I think, speaks to the start of kind of playfulness in typography.
Yeah, you've suddenly changed direction, right? We're not just going across horizontal lines. What centipede?
I think they were a sort of jazz funk band.
And everything's got very soft suddenly. So we've got all these sort of soft edges even around the sort of Royal Albert Hall.
This was actually, it's quite interesting in archive. I was doing a little bit of a look into these events, and that event was cancelled. So if you're looking through the collection, you think that because there is a programme for it, it happened, but actually that's not always the case. So it's a tribute event for Bob Marley, but it's also kind of a youth event. And it's an association with The Voice, which is, I think, still running, but it's a kind of foremost Black British newspaper. And it just speaks so much to like the 80s, but also I think to like the Afro-Caribbean community. It's just so aesthetically specific.
It looks as though it's actually been kind of, a lot of it has been handwritten to then be reproduced.
This was a event where they sort of turned the auditorium into like a kind of Latin American club, which is so fun to think about.
Incredible. So it's like, it's a sort of fold out leaflet, and it says Tropicana at the top. And we've got this sort of metallic, shimmery outline of Tropicana moving and dancing. And then actually a very traditional script underneath it, which is kind of hard to read. A Paradise Under the Stars, lots of shimmery goldness.
Just so visually overwhelming. A final hideous 90s, if that's all right by you. Elton John performed It's a Sin by the Pet Shop Boys at this, which I think would have been absolutely incredible. But it feels so like early PowerPoint.
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah.
I know, like handbills, where we don't really have them anymore. They're not really made, but before they sort of died off, like there was definitely more focus on accessible writing.
Yeah,
there's a lot here that not a chance.
The St. Patrick's Day one that's just completely illegible because the colour on colour and writing on writing.
Yeah, it looks like it's been screen printed or printed in some way. With a lot of different fonts. We've got some cabaret in a sort of Art Deco style. We've got things on the clover element behind it. It's very complicated. Yeah, hard to decipher. And then a very, very detailed image of the hall.
What I find really interesting about that as well is it's about 40 years before this one, which is, I feel like it's kind of stereotypical Celtic style writing, which is really interesting that this St. Patrick's Festival programme from the 1930s doesn't have that. But we've kind of learnt to associate Irishness with this particular typeface.
Yeah, and we've lost the sort of strong colours, and we're just going back to, I guess, sort of accessibility-wise, it's probably a little bit easier to read. Having said that, everything is almost in this sort of Celtic font.
Yeah, and talking of colours, we've got the suffragettes who came here quite a few times. They obviously had their purple, white and green.
Yeah, lovely. I think that's like one of the strongest examples of really strong branding that we've got.
Definitely, yeah.
Which is crazy, considering it was 1912.
1912, and you've got right at the top this sort of slightly italic kind of black letter style for the Women's Social and Political Union. It's nice and easy to read.
Same with the more militant suffragettes, so they probably want to make their point like clear, like meeting here, we're doing this, we're getting our vote.
Yeah, read our paper, Votes for Women Weekly, 1 penny, and a little bit of extra advertising for some other things, which is great. Piled in together, yeah. And that is like really not even scraping the surface, is it? Because you must just have endless kind of examples of all of these events and things, whether they went ahead or not. When we came into the archives, there was a sort of long metal part of what looked like a railing with the letter A on it. Could you tell us a little bit about where that might have come from?
That would have been part of a staircase somewhere at the hall. Not entirely sure where it's been taken out. But I know Liz used to work here. Her last thing she wanted to do was to count all of these A's around the building. And I think there's 1,500 and something. We've got the proper number written down, but Yeah, so we now have a proper number of how many A's there are.
And the A, obviously, for Albert you can still see them, right? So if people are visiting the hall, they will come across lots of these A's. I was really fascinated by some of the stunning sort of old photos that the archives had of what the box office looked like. And they had little boxes for the paper tickets, which I guess relates to the idea of a box office. But what I never really asked about was how they were printed.
So we have records actually saying that our first printers were this Joseph Honey, I think his name was. So we're trying to find a little bit about his lifeline on Ancestry. So I'm still working on that. And then I think it was in maybe the 20s, 30s, FJ Milner's took over and they had like a space in the hall and they became like our priority printers. Obviously printed for other places, but we got ours first.
Wow, so you had a official office or somewhere that was printing the tickets on site here.
We have some pictures of them printing away.
Oh, look, that's incredible. Stacks and stacks. I mean, if they were letting in 8,000 people,
it's 15,000 for some of them.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a lot of tickets, isn't it?
I do feel sorry for the one-man band, but it was just him. I presume there was some apprentices with him.
Wow. So this is when the printing came on site here.
Yes, yeah. We actually have this photo as well.
They knew that we were going to ask about this, that they've taken loads of photos. They're going to need this in the future. F.J. Milner printing shop. I guess they would have sort of lined up all the little letters and got that all sort of sized and ready for the ticket size and make sure and that would then change.
Yeah, in the picture there's some trays sort of behind him. I think there's different fonts you could pull out. So I'm not sure where they went in the machine, but
We have some examples of tickets as well, actually.
I almost feel like they must have been kind of like raffle ticket size, but maybe not quite that small.
Very huge one at the top.
Oh, the opening ceremony.
The opening ceremony.
Wow.
They made an effort with that one.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That have been hand calligraphed, do you think?
I think they wrote the name of the invite. I think he was a seat holder,
Okay.
so it was like a special ticket. There may have been different ones for opening ceremony, but that's the only one that we have that survived.
Beautiful. And this one at the bottom is it's a Loja box ticket. Okay. So they didn't necessarily have all the event information. It's just the date, where their seat was. Okay.
And luckily for us, we have our performance database, so we can work out what event that was for.
Got this beautiful one from the Chelsea Arts Club for 50th anniversary. I think this was the last one actually, because in 58 they got it's disputed as to whether they ran out of money or they got booted out because they were getting too out of hand.
So that's interesting as well. So it looks like it's been printed somewhere more professional, and they've got the box number that's been stamped on it.
I think these are a bit more familiar to...
Yeah. And actually quite a lot of detail on the back of the tickets as well. So where to go, handy little map. So what's this, 84? Actually, what happened? Philharmonic Orchestra, okay. Classics for Pleasure series, very nice. And again, so there's a sort of template of the ticket, isn't there? Lots more numbers, lots more detail, actually.
And we've got the, I think the 90s ones look kind of the most like how they do today.
Yeah.
Although it is, as we were discussing this morning, quite rare to get a physical ticket these days.
Yes, everything was digital, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just got it on your phone and you're scanning it.
So you've got sort of slightly pixelated fonts, which look fairly limited. So it reminds me of the kind of first computer programs where you had a choice of about 3 or 4, or certain programs, even today, where you've only got a limited choice. Most of the information on there is the same, and then you've got different seat numbers and again on the back. So potentially all the ticket stock pre-printed, all the additional information printed on top.
We do have some photographs of the box office itself from the 50s.
Okay, so they're all sat around a sort of central desk, sorting through piles and piles, and there's a man looking at a long list of, I guess, seats and where people have been sat, and then somebody's reading a letter, and there's a lady in the corner on one of 3, 4 phones, so potentially the sort of telephone element of the box office.
I think this is my favourite one of them. I'm sorting through all the tickets.
Proof that loads and loads of people came to lots and lots of events here. And I guess split into sections. There's a sort of uppercase and lowercase, some sort of sorting alphabetical systems going on the back wall. Lots of stamps, lots of sort of lettering equipment and things going on. He looks very happy.
I tried this morning to work out the dates because I know where they would be on the tickets. I know it's January some year, but I couldn't quite read it. Then I saw AF written on one of the tickets. Like, oh, maybe that's the event, but it's a stamp for afternoon.
Anything. This is from the 1950s. Yeah, so the printing potentially still on site, and with the
I think it might have been around then. Yeah. Incredible. We have everything, our performance database, performer database catalog, it's all available online, but contact us, email us, call us. Like we answer any and all sorts of inquiries. The more bonkers, the better.
Yeah, it gives you something to delve into, right? On the hunt.
Yes. We're also starting off public tours, which is super fun. So if you want to come and have a look around the archive, find out a little bit more, we go through the store and just kind of have a look around, but also do a bit of a deep dive into some of my very favourite programmes as well, which is lovely.
Incredible. And people can just book those online.
Yeah, they can put them online, and you get a tour of the hall as well, and get a peek into the auditorium, which is a really special space when it's completely different from when it's full of people, all the lights are on and that kind of thing. So that's also a really special experience.
Alicia, Hope, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been so lovely rifling through the archives. And thank you for joining the Life of Letters.
Cheers, thank you.